Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Medicome Mafex Batman Hush storyline Batman figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini Mayfield fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
And a quick look at the side of the box. You can see it says Batman Hush, and there's a picture of the figure in the corner. And on the opposite side, more of the same. It says Batman Hush at the top. You can see the DC logo. You can see a vertical picture of the figure, and it says Batman Hush action figure Mafex number 105 at the bottom. And a quick look at the front of the box. All right, let's get this bad boy open and see what's what. All right, here we go. Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, as seen in the DC Comics story Hush, in which the villain, Hush, who we didn't really know who he was at first, I suppose. I never read this story, but of course I did my Googles. Hush was basically stalking Batman and using different villains from his past against him and people from his family. And I guess at the end it was revealed who it was or what happened, but there was a lot going on. This was written by Jeff Loeb, penciled by Jim Lee, so obviously this figure is based on Jim Lee's art. This storyline ran through Batman issues 608 through 619 in October 2002 until September 2003. In 2019, the story was adapted into an animated film. A quick description of the movie reads, a mysterious villain uses Catwoman, Riddler, Ra's al Ghul, and several of Batman's other enemies and allies in a game to create chaos in Batman's life. And I've never even seen the animated movie. I'll probably check it out after I'm done with this review, but I have to tell you right off the bat, I am not enamored or blown away or extremely excited or happy about this figure at all. I know a lot of reviewers have given this figure praise. I have not watched anybody else's review just yet. I'll watch a few after this is done, but I'm not really feeling the figure overall because of the cape. It's almost like this thing is alive, and something like this should be on like a Spawn figure or Doctor Strange or something like that. But this cape is not practical for somebody who gets down in the dirt and gets you know, in the streets of Gotham and really cracks skulls. Like, he be tripping over this thing all day. It's just too much going on here. I originally joked and said like this was the Snuggie cape, the Snuggie Batman, and actually I kind of mean that now. This cape is, I hate it. I like the fact that it does have bendy wire and it's articulated, and as far as ACBA goes and taking really dynamic photos and cool photos, I've seen quite a few, and I could definitely see myself liking this figure in terms of that. But I just don't feel like this is practical for any type of combat, for any type of fighting, and I really don't even like the way it sits when you want to have him in a vanilla stance. I just don't. Now, as far as capturing his look from the comic book and really capturing the pencils of Jim Lee's fantastic art, sure, I think they did that. And like I said, I do think that this figure is photogenic and will do really well in terms of ACBA goes and toy photography, no question about that. I do think it's pretty comic accurate, but I even have a couple of issues with the body. I don't like the way the knees bend or don't bend far enough forward. I'll get into that, and it's something I feel is just a little off with the foot, the ankle pivot hinge in that area, which I do feel like is something that's been happening across the board with some of Mafex's comic offerings. I know a lot of people probably felt like, you know what, Mafex knocked it out of the park with their Spider-Man, probably one of the best figures of all time, definitely one of the best Spider-Man figures of all time, and that they really just had to stick to the script and kind of replicate that formula here with Batman. But for me, I don't know. I don't know that this can really be considered one of the best 6-inch Batmans of all time, or the best. It could be considered one of the best, but I don't know that this is the best. So what's good on the figure? There is a very good range of motion, great articulation on the figure. I do like this head sculpt. I do think they captured the look of Jim Lee's art. I like the body sculpt, but then again I don't. In certain lighting and certain angles, I feel like his thighs may be a little too slender, or the entire body may be a little too slender. I don't know. I just kind of like a little, a Batman that's a little beefier, I guess. Pause. But again, like I said, one thing that I really hate is these kneecaps. For whatever reason, I want to be able to bend them forward a bit more, and it's not really cooperating. It's not really working how I'd like. Now, there is double joints here, but as far as getting them forward so you can kind of stand them up. But yeah, maybe some of these issues are just unique to my particular figure. I just keep feeling a need to bend these forward and get them straight, and I do think that maybe like the lower feet are a little too loose. Maybe I have to keep bending those to stand them up. One of the very first things I do with a new figure is just try to put them in a vanilla stance and see if they can stand up, you know, get them upright without any issue and without them looking awkward. And I feel like I'm struggling a bit with this particular buck. I don't know what it is. You know, he looks cool, man. Like I said, you're going to definitely be able to get some great shots out of this guy. But if you look, the knees are still bent a little bit there, and I can't really straighten them out, and that's kind of annoying. And the fact that the lower feet are not really loose, but not as tight as you would need to really get them to stand upright. That's a problem. And I do think that over time, those ankles are going to get loose, just like they, you know, have gotten loose on damn near every Mafex figure in life. You know, you need the ankles to be strong to help him stand with the weight of the cape. You know, the cape is not really heavy, but there is bendy wire in there at a few points. And let me show you the points, actually. And this cape is just too much, man. But yeah, so there is bendy wire here on the left and the right, and then there's one more piece in the seams here. So you get 4 points, which is weird. I don't know why they didn't put one more here in the back, but I guess the 4 points is enough to really make this look dynamic and get it out. Yeah, I think they probably should have put one more down the back. Yeah, like I said, photographs with this cape is all good. These legs, I hate them. But out of the package, he comes with 2 fists. He's got the standard Mezco wrist pegs, so as usual, you should be careful. He's got 2 open hands with the fingers spread. And man, yeah, all of this dynamic stuff is going to look great. But I hate the cape. He's got another set that's open with the fingers slightly spread, but these are cupped a bit more than the previous set. Obviously, you can't see them right now because I was just messing around and having them hold the cape. One sec. But yeah, those look like that. He's got a set of fists with these sort of like spiked claws here. I would assume this is something that appeared in the comic book. You guys let me know in the comments below. But these are pretty cool. Obviously, he can do some heavy damage with these. And this will be cool for some display stuff. The cape is growing on me a little bit, but I still hate it. I swear, he could never fight in this cape. Come on, man. That looks cool, though. He's got a set that looks like the trigger fingers are extended. I guess these could be utilized for holding something. Let's see. He's actually got a couple of different batarangs. So there's this kind here. I'll give you a close look at this one, which looks like so. So that's cool. He's got 2 of this one. So the one that's in his hand and the one that's stuck to my finger here. And then he's got 2 of this type that's in his right hand right now. I'll give you a closer look at that. So both of these are cool. I like the design of both. And yep, look at that. I was just about to say I see a potential problem with this knee because I could see the joint kind of flipping out here and this came apart. Is it broken? I don't know if it's broken, but that came loose and I'm not happy with that. Come on, Mafex. Yeah, nothing snapped, so I was able to put the joint back. You can see that this is bending quite a bit far forward, and I don't think it's supposed to be that. That's supposed to be tucked in better than it is. And I guess that's where the problem is, and it's not really catching. So you could utilize the double joint, but what a pain in the But continuing on with the hands, he has another set that are almost complete fists, but you can see a very small little hole down the center, and I think that's from to hold the line from his grappling hook, which is another accessory I'll show you shortly. But yeah, you can see a little hole down the center there. So he's actually got two hands, a left and a right, with his grappling gun already fixed to the hand. And if you look closely, you can see a very small little peg hole right through the front top center of the grappling gun. And you get two different grappling hooks that you can attach here. So there's one where it's just a hook and just a very small portion of the line, so that way you can insert it there and you can make it look like he's about to deploy the grappling gun. And then there's another with an elongated line, maybe about, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches or something like that, and that looks pretty cool. And there's that. Yeah, you can have some fun with this. And like I said, you can go left or right-handed with the grappling gun. You have one attached to a right hand and one attached to a left hand. I think they did a good job of giving you a sturdy sort of wire that was still lightweight, so it's not weighing down his arm or anything like that. Good design on this. And then like I said, you can do one of these numbers with the grappling gun hand and the other hand with the small little hole through the center working in tandem, and make it look like he's kind of holding and supporting himself. Obviously you'll need to pull the camera back a little bit if you're shooting something, you know, shooting some pictures or something like that, but you know, you guys get the point. And then one more close look at this head sculpt before we swap out, and I'll show you the additional 2 head sculpts he's packed in with. Again, I do like this one. So you've got one head sculpt where you need the neck to stay attached to the upper torso, and you just detach the head, and then you can attach his angry face. You can see his teeth are gritted here. I like this one a lot too. I think they did a good job on this. I think they did a good job here. I think the neutral head sculpt and this one, both of them look very good. Obviously you can utilize this when you got him in an action scene, when you got him actually putting the beats on some criminals in Gotham. And then you need to remove the head and neck if you want to swap on the final accessory and final head sculpt. And that would be the unmasked Bruce Wayne head, which I think looks excellent. This I like. I think they did a really good job. You know, Mafex can be kind of iffy sometimes with likeness with head sculpts. They did okay with the first John Wick and then did even better with the second. So you can see that sort of blue shading in the hair, which is really Jim Lee's style. He's got a strong jawline like Bruce Wayne is normally depicted as having. And yeah, man, this is money. I was eager to try this. I already had to figure out. I didn't even go over the articulation yet, but listen, it's getting late. I had a couple beers and I need I need to wrap this up. So this is the Hush Batman unmasked head on the body of the Mafex Justice League Bruce Wayne. And the pegs don't really match up, or you know, this is not going to really pop onto this peg because the peg hole for the Hush Batman or Hush Bruce Wayne is a little smaller than this actual peg. So you could kind of sit it up there and it may work. I need to see if I can pop out this entire neck and just swap the entire head and neck onto here. Obviously, if you can actually pop the head on the neck, it'll sit right. It'll look much better. I'm gonna work it out. We'll figure it out. But yeah, there's a wide shot. Not bad, huh? And then there's Ben Affleck as Hush Batman, which I like too. This looks pretty good. This head actually kind of fits on there a little better. He's got the right amount of neck. Pause. That looks good. And of course, this damn neck is stuck on here now. This happens with Mafex. I had my Spider-Man figure like this for a while. It took me so long to get the damn thing off. So, I don't know. Alright, y'all know I got ADD. I be getting sidetracked, but I was determined to try to figure this out. What I did was actually take the entire neck out of the upper torso and then replaced it with the neck here. So it's not actually pegged in, and the neck still looks just a little bit long maybe, but you know, with the right amount of finagling you could make this work. And there's a bunch of different suited Mafex bodies out there, but this neck is very wide, so you may actually not be able to fit it on certain bodies. You have to actually just pop the peg out of the original neck out the top and then swap it with the peg for Hush Batman. So there's some surgery, some finagling you can do. I'm not going to go through everything right now, but I think that's okay size wise. So real quick, in terms of articulation, the head articulation is pretty good. You can actually pop this head off and mess around with this peg and push it forward or back or kind of twirl it around a little bit. It is kind of hard to manipulate that peg, but you can, and it will give you a greater range of motion. Head can turn left to right, pivot. I don't really have any issues with the head articulation. Shoulders, they're on a ball joint in here. You can get them up pretty far. There's a butterfly joint there as well. You can rotate at the shoulder. You can also rotate at the upper bicep. Double jointed elbow, swivel, and a hinge on the wrist. Same thing on both sides as far as the arms go. Upper torso articulation, you can rotate side to side, back a little bit, and you get lower abdominal articulation as well, which is good. You can get them back pretty far. Rotate them at the waist. This pelvic joint, I feel a little strange. I don't know. I feel like these legs are going to start to pop out over time, but there is a sort of like double barbell joint in there. You can rotate. You can get his legs up high. Split is not that crazy, but it's okay. I think his legs, his thighs are a little too thin. Maybe that's part of the problem. Double jointed knee, that is iffy, especially on this one. You can see that little gap itch right there, and you saw earlier that the leg popped out, so I got to kind of push it in and make sure it's in right when I articulate the legs. And again, I kind of wish these would go forward a bit more. And then down to the lower legs, no rotation here at the upper boot. Maybe that would have helped a little bit, but again, I think these ankle joints are kind of loose. You do get hinge, you do get swivel, you do get pivot, you get a toe joint, but I think these are kind of loose, and if this was a little tighter, it would aid in helping him to stand up. And then I already showed you the articulation and the cape, so 4 points basically. All right, let's knock out some size comparisons. So while I still have the suited bodies out, I did just take out the Scarecrow on the far left, but you can see that Hush Batman is pretty tall, so it's really only the Justice League suited Bruce Wayne body that would kind of match up with the size and stature of the Hush Batman. But yeah, going left to right, that's Scarecrow on the far left, and then Harvey Dent. And then on Batman's immediate left, going right, on our right, is the Kingsman Harry figure. And I have Eggsy as well, who is even smaller than Harry, so that definitely wouldn't work. And then again on the far right is the Justice League Bruce Wayne. Alright, some comic-based character comparisons here. So the MAFEX Spider-Man on the left, which obviously was a huge hit with collectors. Many feel this is still the best 6-inch scale Spider-Man ever produced. I put it as the second best, and I think that the Marvel Legends Retro Series version is the new king of 6-inch scale Spider-Man figures. Many have begged to differ. Nonetheless, this is still an excellent figure, and he looks pretty good, and you can see how he scales next to Batman. Definitely a smaller, more slender, but still muscular buck. You can see Cyclops on the right, who is very buff, but it looks like the Hush Batman's legs are have more muscle definition, but they look to be about the same size as Cyclops's legs. But Cyclops's upper torso is jacked. That was actually one of my gripes with this figure, was that I felt like he was maybe a little too buff, but then some people did say that Jim Lee's Cyclops was pretty buff. I don't know, something just still seems a little off with Batman. I think they should have just given him just a little bit more girth in the upper torso and the thighs maybe. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is how all of these stack up. And there's the everything so far has been MAFEX, by the way, but there is the MAFEX Deadpool on the left, who is very tall. Probably the tallest out of the MAFEX comic-based characters from Marvel, for sure, and one of MAFEX's tallest figures, period. So you can see how he stacks up, and then on the right is Wolverine. And I'm actually looking forward to the brown suit Wolverine on this same buck. I'm kind of falling out of love with this particular one. Just not a fan of this particular colorway, and I thought the claws were ridiculously too long. And let's look at other 6-inch scaled Batmans. So on the left is the Mezco The Dark Knight Returns Batman, and obviously all Mezco Batmans are going to be larger than MAFEX here. And then on the right, still in MAFEX actually, is the MAFEX Justice League Batman. And you can see how those stack up. And one more here and I'm going to get up out of here. So on the left is the Mezco Supreme Knight Batman. I had him handy since I just reviewed him. And then on Hush Batman's immediate left on our right is the S.H.Figuarts Justice League Batman. I didn't even bother taking the plastic off the back of the cape. This figure is no good for anything except putting him inside the RC Batmobile. Such such a weird figure the way they designed the upper torso and the fact that he looks so short and stumpy, man. If he was just taller, this actually would have been a decent figure. And then on the right is the S.H.Figuarts Predator. You know, we've had Batman versus Predator crossovers like I mentioned early on, so maybe that may be something someone's interested in. Alright, Mafex's first comic style Batman. It is not complete trash, but I don't think it's going to make the splash that Mafex's first comic Spider-Man has. I think the hype will wear off pretty fast on this figure. I think they should have included another cape option. So this one with the articulated points is absolutely fantastic for dynamic shots and for shots of him standing atop Gotham City with great rim lighting, and you know, you could really get creative with this cape. But there should have been another option for something more relaxed and less dramatic, less dynamic, in my opinion. I do think there's going to be some issues with QC with the knees and the ankles. I guess that's to be expected with Mafex. And I'm probably looking forward to the other color option for Batman, just like I mentioned with Wolverine. Now, don't get me wrong, the figure looks great. Look how nice he looks here in just a vanilla stance, and with some of the posing I did throughout this review. Just not blown away by this, and I'm not in league with with everybody else that's saying this is the greatest Batman ever. Could be that I'm more of a Marvel fan than DC. This is not one that I would highly recommend, but I am very interested in the Superman that's going to come out from this line. And if they continue with more characters, then you definitely have to pick this guy up and just stick with it. So thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell down there. And until next time, peace.